Giuliani with America's Mayor Live. And we're live on a night in which every presidential candidate, president and vice presidential candidate is in grave danger because the head of the Secret Service today agreed that the activities on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, were a colossal failure by the Secret Service. She also basically said she's made no changes. The same procedures are being followed. She could list no change in procedure. She suspended no one. And the same colossal failure could happen right now as happened back then. Nothing's been done to prevent it, including removing the person who presided over it or persons who presided over it. Well, that should make us all feel really good that this, at best, you could say about a complete incompetent, is still there. It also, her testimony would allow any conspiracy theorist to spin any conspiracy you wanted, and you'd probably get pretty good circumstantial evidence of it with her answers. I just outlined in my prior show that she testified any number of times that the investigation is not concluded. You can't come to any conclusions. Although she came to a very definitive one, and that is there was no conspiracy. Well, how the hell does she know that? She hasn't completed the investigation. She's not even doing it. The FBI is doing it. I guess she knows it because the FBI would never find a conspiracy that in any way involved Democrats or Biden, right? Because they spent their last 5 years doing that. The last 5 years, they spent more time covering up than dealing with all the terrorists that their crooked, incompetent, and stupid director runs around telling us there are now more terrorists here than ever before. Like he had nothing to do with it. Well, who was supposed to stop that? Me? No, you were. You creep. Where the hell did they find that guy anyway? Chris Christie, by the way, recommended that guy. This is the guy who put the laptop under his backside for a year while the president of the United States was being falsely impeached. That could have all been disproven by disclosure of the laptop, or allowed a fraudulent election to take place based on complete lies and a cover-up of the laptop. Just like they were going to let this one go forward on a cover-up of the fact that the president of the United States doesn't know who the hell he is, which finally had to be admitted. If we hadn't had that debate, they'd all be continuing the cover-up, including the nitwit who wants to replace him. She was the biggest, next to Jill. Next to Jill, she was the biggest cover-up artist. And she wants to be president of the United States. Are we crazy? Are we crazy again? We're going to do it again? We're going to get another criminal? You know, if you cover up the mental inability of a president of the United States, I think you're a traitor. Kamala or Kamala or whatever the hell her name is. Word salad. You're a criminal. You knew he was blotto. Come on, you talk to him. He thinks that Roosevelt's still around. He doesn't do that he doesn't do what he did at the debate in person or every day whenever he whenever he talks. Maybe you can communicate with each other. You know, Russia's a big country. Ukraine's a small country right next to it. I mean, the reality is that today we probably saw one of the most disturbing hearings in the history of the Congress because she's an ongoing threat to our country right now, as is Biden, who is unfit to run on the crooked Democratic ticket, but fit to be president of you and me. That make any sense? Uh-uh. only to people who hate this country. One of the heroes today is Tim Burchett. I got to pronounce Tim's name right. Burchett?
Tim Burchett. Yep, he's one of our favorites.
He is one of the very, very best. There were a couple of really good ones today, but I think he was one of the best. And I don't understand what they were doing putting this woman out there. Somebody had to put her up to this, and somebody had to promise her something, because she just ruined her reputation. She ruined who she is, and I don't understand how they let her go back to running the Secret Service. I don't know. When does Trump have his next rally?
I believe Wednesday.
Well, she better be gone by then. I mean, they went through so many failures today, and she admitted that she presided over a Secret Service that had a colossal failure, the first one like it since 1981. The guy who presided over that wasn't anywhere near the failure this was resigned as a matter of honor. But she has no honor. She's a Democrat piece of crap. Worked for Jill, the first stepmother, who can't acknowledge her step-grandchild. You think these are good people? I mean, they're going to do all this stuff about, oh, he was a great president. A great president. Yeah, he was great. He set a lot of records for drug deaths, for child molestation, for allowing children in various democratic states to be mutilated. Yeah, what people in Ukraine killed.
Well, Mayor, but we have a very special guest this evening. The congressman is here. Let's play a quick clip and then bring him on. This is
good
Congressman Burchett from earlier today on Capitol Hill.
With me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And Mayor, we now have with us Congressman Tim Burchett. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm honored, Mayor. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Well, we couldn't think of anyone better. You were there. You got to see. I don't know. Was that one of the worst hearings? You know what drives me crazy? She's still in charge of the Secret Service tonight. All these people are just as much danger as they were a week ago.
Yes, sir. I mean, you said it best. I don't know why they let her come on. I figured, she'd quit and they'd stop her from coming on or something. But now I understand why. Like I said later, they figured it out. She'd have her 30 years in pretty soon. So she didn't want to leave before she got that in. And, and now, you know what they're going to do? They're going to come to us and say, dadgummit, we're really trying to do this job. We need more money. And I guarantee you that's what's going to end up becoming all this.
I mean, you've increased their budget quite a bit in the last couple of years.
Yes, sir. It's over $1 billion right now. And I think they protect maybe 21 or 22 people total. So we're just trying to figure out where all the money goes. Maybe it's all those crazy woke initiatives. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Michelle really didn't own up to that
No.
about the women thing and I mean, who cares if she has women who are 6'1" and
I don't care.
Or if the president is 5'2" and they're 5'4", fine.
Yeah,
but I mean, they had him completely exposed.
Yes, sir. You remember when Reagan got shot? That one Secret Service agent ran at the shooter, and he caught one in the temple, and he ended up dying. But
I remember.
That's what they do. That's the risk they take. And then you saw agents that were hiding behind the pile, and the iconic picture. They should have never let Trump do that. I mean, it's classic Trump, but she was a head below him and just totally exposed him to if they had a shooter in the front.
Right. Now he got off at least 6 shots before the sharpshooter shot him, right?
Well, they would not release that, and oddly enough, they he was up on that roof something like I think 20 minutes. He'd been spotted up there
Right.
before they called in on him, and it just. I mean, the whole thing. He shouldn't have been able to walk out on stage. I asked that. Why was he allowed? Was he even alerted? You know, if Trump had been alerted, he wouldn't have come out on stage.
Oh, I mean, actually, he was subject to suspicion for 57 minutes, and they never resolved it. I mean,
100%.
aren't you supposed to? Aren't you supposed to resolve a person who's made a subject of suspicion? That's the idea of it.
Well, you've been in those situations before. You
Sure.
know, if a car backfires, a balloon pops, they're going to stop. If there's a person of interest, oh my gosh, you know, if there was a breach, if somebody had gotten through, they're not going to bring anybody out. You know that. They just let the band keep playing until they figure out what to do. But they didn't on this case. He was a sitting duck out there, and if they had not taken him out, and they claimed it was sort of a lucky shot anyway, but they hadn't. I don't think it was. I think it was just a skill shot. But if they hadn't taken him out, he could have continued firing into that pile of bodies because they did not get him off the stage. And if you can hear the audio, I wish I'd had 5 more minutes. I would have asked about this. If you hear the audio, one of the agents says, "We're going to move in 3." And he goes, 3, 2, 1. And then they just laid there and nobody moved. And, and then the SWAT team came in. It was just complete disorganization. They had no plan. And then if you saw them when they were going through the fence, they drove a car through the dadgum fence so they could get through it to get to the guy. So it just, the whole thing was a nightmare, Mayor.
Well, what happens to her now, Tim?
Well, we're waiting on an FBI investigation to come in. I don't know that I trust them very much either right now.
I mean, my goodness, they tried to frame Trump 3, 4 times.
3 or 4 times. In the Secret Service, of course, that magic bag of cocaine that they found in the White House that moved from one end of the White House to the other, to the only area that didn't have a camera. Do what?
Is there someone in the White House that's a degenerate cocaine addict?
Yeah, if it is,
I don't know. I don't know.
maybe that and hookers. I'm not sure, but no, you know, they destroyed that bag and they couldn't get the DNA. They said there wasn't enough DNA. And from the scientific people I talked to, they said, you know, it's not enough DNA. It's either you have DNA or you don't. It's sort of like you are pregnant or you're not. And they botched that whole thing up. They called us in there into the skiff. It's supposed to be some double secret briefing, and it wasn't a secret. And they said, we're down to 200 people. And this was on a Wednesday. He said, we're calling the investigation off on Friday. So they got the news pretty tight. I think they had who they were going to get, and then they decided to call it off. I mean, that's the Secret Service right there.
Is there any way to get rid of this person so that we don't have to go through it? I really feel like they'll make another try on Trump.
Oh, I
mean,
do
if this
too.
wasn't Iran is ready to go.
They're ready to go, and there's others. And we don't know how many have come over the border. But yeah, there's something, you're an attorney, but it's called the Hallman Rule. And what it allows you is to defund them by legislation. So there, we've got a bill, I've signed on to it, to defund her position down to $1. And then we can just put her out, basically just fire her. And that's that's the only thing we got, because the Senate, you know, we got to pass it in the Senate as well. But nobody, I say send it over there and make Schumer vote on it.
You know, the Biden must get some special deal from her, because why the hell would they keep her if she's doing the same incompetent thing for them?
Well, she's supposed to be friends with Jill Biden.
Yeah.
And of course she was on, let's see, whose was it? It was, she was on the detail for the Vice President, Cheney. She was on his, apparently she still has contact, I was told, with Liz. So I don't know about all that. And she's just a bad deal. We need to get rid of her and get somebody in there who can do the job.
One last question. It really annoys the hell out of me where they do all this praise for Biden. I mean, this isn't like a decent president going. This is like a major crook who has completely disgraced the United States, gotten all kinds of people killed, and he's walking out with millions of dollars that he took from China, Russia. And we're supposed to honor him?
Yeah, at least
criticizing Trump for criticizing him. I
Yes,
think
sir.
Trump's the only one who tells the truth.
Well, at least 20 million. You know, I said when they went to mob school, they fell asleep during money laundering class because Tim Burchett can find the money
Yeah.
trail. That's not very good. You're the guy that deals with that locked the mob up, Mayor. I'm not, but they.
Mr. Congressman, I'm going to tell you, if we sit down, I can show you about 50, about half to him and half to the rest of the crime family.
Yes, sir.
We got Russia, we've got Ukraine, we've got Romania, a couple of other small ones. You know, anything $1 million or less is small.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much, and God bless you. You're just an unbelievably good congressman, and we're so lucky to have you.
Thank you, Mayor. God has blessed me, and thank you for what you did for our great country. I can't tell you how proud I am that you and I are friends. I told all my buddies back in Tennessee, and they love you. But they say you talk funny. You Yankees talk funny, but they love you.
Yeah, you should hear my Brooklyn accent.
Hey, I would love to come to New York and hang out. I've never been to New York.
Hear that? He wants to come up to New York and hang out. I think we should
Congressman Burchett.
Burchett, whatever. You can call me whatever you want to, Rudy.
He is a great congressman. Thank you.
Thank you,
and
brother.
We'll be right back. He is good. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnels to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live. I think that interview was very, very revealing. And I don't know if much more can be said about this awful incompetent who's running the Secret Service. And at this very, very moment, all the presidential protectees are in deep trouble. Admitted colossal failure. Nothing done about it yet, because you can't reach conclusions except one: no conspiracy. So how can you trust that? I mean, you got the FBI doing it, who hid the hard drive for a year on purpose, lied about it, lied about Russian collusion for over a year. I don't know. Then they tell the truth about it. We're going to trust an FBI investigation? What? They really think we're? They think? Well, they do think we're stupid. Problem is, we're not. And we got a long campaign to go. Who's to say there isn't another try by the people who did this one? If people did do this one, there's no way they can come to the conclusion this was a guy acting alone. They haven't conducted an investigation yet. She doesn't even have answers to why was anybody on the roof? Why did they leave him unresolved as a suspicious character for 57 minutes? I mean, that's like you want to get somebody killed, right? Why did they pull him up and put his head out? Like you want to get somebody killed. And we're going to trust them? And the answers are unbelievable. Then we now have, it looks like, a presidential candidate who was part of one of the biggest cover-ups in American history. The fact that the president of the United States was suffering from a serious case of dementia that only got exposed because of the debate. But what we saw at that debate had to be going on internally since at least 2019. In 2018. I mean, when did he say that he heard he saw Roosevelt on television reading the funny papers when there was no television when Roosevelt died? When was that? When did he say he likes the children touching the hair on his legs? I mean, that one should have disqualified him not just as demented but as a pervert. You want to take a look at his son's photographs? I don't know. Maybe it runs in the family. He actually said something like that at some point. One of those things runs in the family. Nobody's actually even told you what's on the hard drive. They keep covering up. Nobody, people just go around saying there's no evidence that Biden got money. Sure there is. There's plenty of evidence. There's the best evidence at all. There's an admission by his son in black and white. December of 2018. Gave half of his salary to his father for 30 years. So what was he making money doing? Selling influence. Whose influence? His father. He was given half of it to his father. What do they call that? They call that bribery. That's evidence of bribery, which is a major federal crime. It's one of the constitutionally designated reasons for impeachment, bribery, along with treason, which he did with China when he gave up the Bagram Air Base for no reason, 400 miles from China. And then they're criticizing Trump for criticizing him. I mean, if you can't criticize him, you shouldn't run for president. That's why Harris shouldn't run. Harris is worse than not criticizing. Harris was one of the major proponents for how healthy he was, how sharp he is. What a liar. We're going to get another one. We're going to get another president based on a cover-up. Haven't we had enough of it? Haven't enough people died as a result of it? Don't you realize when we get an incompetent president, people die? Those families who lost their loved ones in Afghanistan realize it. They realize that if we hadn't been defrauded into electing Biden, be a good chance their kids would be alive today. Everybody in Ukraine knows they'd be alive today if Trump were in office. This isn't a game. This is a matter of life and death, the competence of the president of the United States. If you can sit there and you can watch a guy that functioned the way Biden did during that debate be president of the United States in the White House, you should go to jail. I mean, it probably doesn't fit the legal definition of treason. It sure fits the moral definition of treason. I know without a doubt that if I was in the White House, if I were Associate Attorney General like I was under Reagan or anything else, and I saw that kind of conduct, I'd go to the president and I would prevail on him to resign. And if he didn't, I would take legal action under the 25th Amendment. Yet, we've got a major candidate for president, she wants to be, who deliberately covered it up. Why'd you do that? Because she's been a criminal all her life. And she didn't become what she is because she's qualified. You know why she became what she is. I don't even want to repeat it. A woman with that half a brain couldn't possibly have accomplished anything other than things that were given to her that she wasn't qualified for, whether it was affirmative action or immoral action. Was a very, very influential man. And then we pay the price for it. Let's listen to a little of her. I mean, you can play almost anything, and then you can speculate with me what's wrong with her, because we knew I knew from the beginning what was wrong with Biden 4 years ago, 4 maybe 5 years ago. But I don't know what's wrong with her. I know something wrong with her, but I don't know what it is.
So yeah, we're getting these clips ready here.
A properly functioning brain. You know, they say word salad, but you don't do that if you have a properly functioning brain where the synapses are working correctly. Something's going wrong.
I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Excuse me. I'm having dinner. And don't forget to get Rudy's coffee. Rudy.coffee. I don't know. Maybe today I was particularly in need of coffee. But boy, I made it myself. I made the morning brew. Wow. Ooh, was it good? Right, Ted?
You're right, Mayor. I'm getting the next clip ready. Sorry.
I had two right away. And then I had to take a trip to get my passport renewed, actually. And I took it in the car with me, even though I was spilling it on myself. Even getting burned. It was so good. But can you believe that? I'm Pamela Harris and I got the blue suit on. But they can confuse it with the person with the purple suit on. I mean, now, if that were all the only thing, you say, okay, stupid. What does she constantly do this stuff for? Like Biden. This is the same thing with Biden. It wasn't that one time he couldn't remember the name of his Secretary of Defense. First 2 years he was in office, he couldn't remember Austin's name. It came back again a couple of weeks ago. He couldn't remember his name. He thought he was in he thought he was in Colombia when he was in Cambodia. She knew that. So she's a liar. She doesn't care about the country. She's proven it. We got to put somebody that's proven that they're alive, doesn't care in the White House. We got anything else from?
We got more coming. Yes, Mayor. It's just taking a second.
Oh, taking a while to get Nitwit Brain out there to get some kind of a fix on what's wrong with her. This is not normal. What's happening with her is not normal. There's something wrong with her brain. You don't say stuff like this if you are a normal adult human being of average intelligence. No one has come up with anything close to a explanation. Ukraine is a small country next to Russia. Children, that's a large country. Okay. So what?
And here is Kamala Harris on diesel fuel school buses.
95% of our school buses are fueled with diesel fuel, which contributes to very serious conditions that are about health and about the ability to learn. Today, 95% of our
School buses contribute to not the teachers, not the communist teachers union. that closed down the schools for an extra year that you agreed with because you're corrupt? The diesel fuel means the kids aren't educated. So there's something wrong with her. I mean, there's something wrong with a brain that says diesel fuel contributes to the fact that America is what, 22nd in reading and 29th in math, when we used to be first, and gone down probably 10 slots under you and Nitwit. How do you say that? That was my whiteboard. It wasn't the FBI or Secret Service. I mean, I love the Secret Service, the agents. I think it's absolutely outrageous that they have a person like this as their number one person. I mean, will the Democrats pay a price for this massive cover-up? I mean, they've never paid a price for covering up the hard drive, including defaming me and saying I was a Russian agent, which Biden said in the last debate 4 years ago with President Trump. They've never paid a price for it. I'm trying to get him to pay a price for it by suing him. He'll be out of office soon. So maybe I'll be able to collect something, get some of that dirty money back. I estimate he's walking out with about 40 or 50 million, of which his son tells us half was given to him. And the son also adds, on top of that, he paid for all the expenses of the family for 30 years. And a lot of that, if not all of it, can be corroborated by the section of time that you get in the hard drive that I have and that I gave to the New York Post. The New York Post takes great credit for that, and good. I'm glad they do. But they rarely point out that they wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me. They didn't find it. I gave it to them. And I had to push them to publish it. They're very proud of it now. But they treat me like crap. And they were treating Trump like crap too until recently, until he became the front runner. The Wall Street Journal still Mets and Mets. Fox, kind of coming along, kind of. Jesus. What disloyal people. I don't know. I don't know what the game, I don't know what their game is. It sure isn't the best interest of the United States. You don't switch that way all the time. I mean, it virtually was the DeSantis for President network for the longest time. I have nothing against DeSantis other than the fact that he's never proven he can. I mean, he was a very good governor. And maybe one day he'll be a great president, but he's never proven that. And we got a proven commodity. We saw it on the 13th. He just rose from the ashes. Want that as a president, or Russia is a big country and Ukraine is a small country, or I have a blue suit on? Or do you want that? Well, you pick. Right. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be, let me do it like Biden. We'll be right back.
You still want me?
Hold on. We're not on.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
It's Rudy Giuliani, and of course we know who this is. This is Dr. Maria, who's on Frank's speech every week.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 p.m., but you can find it at different times.
At night,
Yeah.
if you want to watch it at night, which I know a lot of people do. A lot of people watch this show.
America's Mayor Live.
Yeah, after. I mean, I think
You wake
almost.
in the morning and there's double the numbers.
Well, sometimes more. I mean, sometimes more watch it after than before, than like right now. And I think that's also true with Frank's speech,
So maybe,
the one that comes on before this.
Leanne, I wanted to talk to you about something. So that hearing today with the Secret Service.
We watched some of it together
Director,
with Ted.
yeah. I was very, very disappointed. Obviously, I know people play politics. I did not realize she had to be subpoenaed. Why wouldn't you go voluntarily? I didn't realize she would really not answer anything.
She was contemptuous. Why
She
was she
was.
put in jail like our poor friend Steve Bannon? It was put in jail for nothing. But
Oh. So somebody would ask a question like, and I may not have it exact, but they might say, do you know what time the Secret Service knew of this threat? Well, it was suspicious behavior. Like she fought the word threat all day. She hardly answered anything. She kept saying she'd have to wait for the report. I was telling you, and I know your experience of mayor and 9/11, you know this, but as even a hospital CEO, if we had mass casualties or we're out of water, anything big out of the norm, or a fire in the OR, you would do after action
oh,
plan.
sure, all the
You would have an incident command if the mass casualty situation continues to go on, you're overloaded. Typically, the CEO wasn't the leader of it because the CEO doesn't know all the minutia of the hospital. But I did, and I was a good incident commander. But within 24 hours, there'd be already changes. Because you identify them fairly quickly because all the right people are in the room talking about, oh, I didn't hear this go out. Oh, I didn't understand that nomenclature. There's some things I give her that it takes more than 24 hours. But the fact that she says she's having to wait for a report, it was very disappointing.
I mean, but I don't think any of them asked her, how can you tolerate that when it was a colossal failure? You admit it was, and you're operating still under the colossal failure.
Yep.
In other words, all these people are being guarded with the same protocols that led to
Yeah.
the death of a human being and the wounding of 3 others and almost the death of a presidential candidate. You've made no changes. Where's the urgency? One of the reasons, I mean, the same thing is true in the city. I created the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management. Didn't exist before. I created it because of the 1993 attack on the World Trade Center that my predecessor, Biden, was in Japan for. and which is why I vowed to remain in the city, unlike the Biden people who are gone half the. I mean, every time something happens, Buttigieg is on paternity leave or vacation or somewhere, hiding somewhere. I don't know where he's hiding. I mean, they don't do any. Why are they all incompetent?
The whole Biden administration, that is crazy.
The Democrats are incompetent. Look at the cities. Look at American cities.
So
Look at San Francisco. Kamala Harris wants to make America like San Francisco, and they're actually taking this nitwit seriously.
I lean on you a lot about process because I don't always know in the government who reports to who has authority over. So I had asked you, okay, so if she doesn't resign, who can fire her?
President
Biden.
and two seconds.
So, but listen, so is that the same for Mayorkas? Biden?
Of course, anybody.
So he has such an
They're
incompetent
to fire anybody.
administration. Mayorkas lets terrorists into our country, lets kids get raped. He doesn't fire him. Kamala, the border czar, he doesn't fire her. Although I don't know if you can fire a vice president.
No.
But this Cheadle, he should have fired her the next
He
day.
can fire everybody in the executive branch, other than the vice president who's elected.
Crazy that for the next few months, or at least to the election, we're going to get so much propaganda how Joe Biden is like the archangel, Michael the archangel.
He's a massive criminal. He's a complete absolute criminal, and he's a creep. A complete creep. He's a creep who won't acknowledge his granddaughter. Never met his acknowledged her, never met his granddaughter because he's so concerned about his political career. He's a narcissistic maniac. And he's a thief who's taken money. He's not just taking money, he's taking money from our enemies, from China, from Russia. Who the hell knows? Now, he must have a special deal with Cheadle that she takes care of him a lot better than she took care of Trump.
Wow.
Otherwise, why would he keep her? And why isn't Harris complaining like hell that she doesn't want protection from these people?
The Secret Service has a lot of dirt on these people. We saw it in the laptop, right?
Of course, well, they tried to fix the gun case for
Tried to fix the gun case.
for Hunter.
One time Hunter was in a California hotel,
Yeah, with
totally wasted.
40 grand for the hookers that would have gone to Joe, the Secret Service.
Don't recall the name of the Secret Service, but he wouldn't call him a Hunter. He says each. So we see the text messages.
Right
Each.
on
Open up the door. They cover for these people. Come on, the brightest minds, and they can't figure out with a limited amount.
I don't know if they're the brightest now. Oh, come on.
They know they
Yeah, that was a cover-up.
stuff all on each other.
And the FBI is conducting the people who covered up in the last presidential election, the hard drive, are covering up in this one.
Peter Strzok, who said he's got an insurance, that type of FBI. Brannon, who's
I think they just hang around to cover up. Is this going to become like part of our presidential election cycle? You cover up? I mean, the first time around, they did Russian collusion cover up, and second time around, they did hard drive cover up.
Yeah.
Now they tried to get away with Biden demented cover up, and now they're getting away with attempted murder of Trump cover up.
Yeah.
I mean, I begin without. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Never was until now. Now, when she knows nothing about this investigation, can give us no conclusions about this investigation, is warning us that it's not over yet, but then definitively tells us there's no conspiracy. Well, I know she's lying.
Yeah.
And what's she covering up?
Right.
Why would she say that? Why wouldn't she say we're looking at all possibilities?
Theory. Why?
Well, I don't know what my theory. Oh, well,
Good friends with Liz Cheney and Jill Biden. Like it transcended employee client. They're spoken about like they're.
Know how you investigate a crime if you're an honest investigator? You assume the worst and disprove it. Yeah. If they don't disprove it, this will be a conspiracy theory 50 years from now.
So,
like it was with Kennedy. I mean, if they don't definitively show that this wasn't planned, by either Iran or someone connected to Biden, or you got to go with the person and the group with the biggest motive. So to me, the Kennedy thing begins with an analysis of Lyndon Johnson. He had the biggest motive.
Yeah.
If Kennedy dies, he becomes president.
Yeah.
Kennedy doesn't die,
Think of,
probably gets kicked out by Robert Kennedy as the vice president because Robert Kennedy thought he was a crook.
yeah.
And he was a crook. He's a major crook. He probably was the last big crook in the White House,
Yeah.
like money crook, since until this guy who makes him look like small potatoes.
Yeah.
So this guy's a massive crook. There are a lot of people in tremendous danger if Trump becomes president. It's not just political. I mean, these people have been sucking money from us for years.
Committed crimes.
The Obamas.
Yeah.
Obama should be in jail for money laundering with the money he gave to the Ayatollah. I mean, Hillary should be in jail. Jesus, and Obama fixed the case for her.
Yeah. So, well, a couple comments. I was going to ask you something else, but you know how they say Trump's going to take retribution? I hate that verbiage. Trump, not Trump himself, but hopefully we'll have a good Department of Justice that's honest and just doesn't go after people because they're Democrats, like we've seen the opposite of.
I bet there are some.
If somebody broke the law, it shouldn't be up to President Trump to say, oh, no, don't go after them. The Department of Justice should be totally independent and look into people like Biden, look into Mayorkas, look into all these people, Nancy Pelosi, insider trading.
So a Ukrainian prosecutor, two Ukrainian prosecutor, but one really, really, really knowledgeable. The other guy sort of corroborated, told me in a conversation that I had when I went there and interviewed the witnesses. I'm the only one who's interviewed these people. Me.
Yeah.
FBI never bothered to interview them.
In Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Because they
went to
because the State Department, even under Pompeo, wouldn't let them come in. Pompeo was afraid to get rid of the ambassador. He told me it would be really tough because she was head of the Lesbian Ambassadors Association.
Oh yeah, Marie Yankovic.
I said, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't make decisions
Yeah.
like that. But he was scared of his own shadow. He wouldn't fix the CIA. He left that woman there who probably, well, who knows? I mean,
Did she stay to the end?
yeah, and until she walked out over January 6th, which the CIA might have had more to do with than anybody. Well, the FBI.
So Pompeo's on that list that Iranians want to kill, by the way. Same with
I
Donald
mean,
Trump.
he was tough on Iran. Look,
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a Washington coward.
I didn't.
For a guy who was in the military, West Point, everything else, I mean, you would think just the opposite. But man, he was scared of his own shadow and didn't want anything to do with investigating Biden. And they covered it up. I mean, they had all the evidence and they covered it up. The State Department, Trump's State Department covered it up. This guy could have been prosecuted before he ran for president. And we never would have had to have him. He'd be in jail right now instead of that.
Pompeo before April 25th, 2019, and that's the date Biden announced his presidency. You brought information
And Pompeo
that year.
And I gave it to him in order to back up the fact that the ambassador had to be fired. And also I gave him all the rest of the information and offered to give his investigators all of it. And he told me they'd be in contact with me. I'm still waiting. He ran for the hills like a couple of very, very famous Republican senators ran for the hills because they were afraid to investigate another senator. I mean, what the hell is wrong with us? How do we expect that we're going to fix this country if we don't get rid of the traitors and the crooks? These people I'm not talking about Pompeo now. Pompeo was weak, but he did a lot of good things too.
Yeah.
And these senators I'm talking about do a lot of good things.
Of course.
But they're very weak.
Yeah.
Now we have in the case of Biden, we're not talking about weak. We're talking about a major, major criminal to the point of being, the man's to the point of being evil.
Mm.
I mean, I know I point this out all the time, but character is character. If he has not met his granddaughter yet, he's an evil man. And she's an evil woman.
Meaning Jill Biden.
Meaning the first stepmother, yeah. The first stepmother who I think has just lost her Vogue cover. Might be very tough on her.
Sure. She is extremely upset. They did not want to leave. But can I jump back?
So guilty of covering it up.
Can I jump back about the hearing today? Because I didn't get to see all of it. Did anybody talk about these alleged encrypted bank accounts?
Yes, it was mentioned a few times, but she would not identify where they are. I'm not even sure she would acknowledge that they exist.
She
acknowledged it. The only thing she acknowledged,
her name.
the only thing she acknowledged was it's not a conspiracy, based on.
But how?
Well, I mean, she's not even doing the investigation. How does she know if it's not a conspiracy? She knows it's not a conspiracy because if it isn't a conspiracy, the FBI will cover it up.
Like they know how many shell cases were on that route. They know how many
She
shell.
can actually admit that she knew how many shells, but she wouldn't tell them.
No.
I don't know why. Because she's a cover. She's covering up.
Some things.
Somebody had to tell
I
her.
can understand there could be reasons the American public can't know right now, but the shell casings, why not let us know? I know I counted approximately 8 gunshots. I believe 6 came from him and 2 from the Secret Service. How do I know?
Who needs it from her? It'll be in the Times tomorrow, the next day.
Well, that's the interesting thing. This
Good
is
belief.
tell you that I learned. She had to be subpoenaed. She didn't go voluntarily. She didn't give them any information. They had lists of stuff she was supposed to bring. She didn't bring one thing. So I learned that.
Why does she go to jail?
Yeah, right.
Why don't they let Bannon out and put her in the jail cell, which I understand is a rather punitive one. Bernie told me. Bernie was supposed to be on my earlier show, but it didn't connect. And he told me when I talked to him that I had what kind of I know Danbury really well. I used to put a lot of people I made into cooperating witnesses there. I used to travel there and, work on them. But there are really nice parts of, they used to be. I know it's gotten to be a tougher prison, but there are nice parts of Danbury. A lot of people like Danbury. And then there are bad parts of Danbury. He's a bad part of Danbury. No, he's a minor misdemeanor criminal.
Yeah.
And Bernie says it comes right out of the White House.
Well, the other thing I learned was that
Torture Bannon. Torture. Because the guy sitting there who's leaving, and all the people around him, including Marblemouth, are fascists.
there's deep troubles with this investigation because I don't think it's going to be transparent. I'm nervous about it. I did learn today, it seemed like she didn't dispute this, that they knew about this suspicious, remember, she doesn't actually want to say threat yet. She knew about this suspicious guy, or not her personally, but they knew 57 minutes before.
That's an eternity.
We could have saved that man's life.
Where did they grab him? Question.
Like I just
the guy's got a range.
Died.
Guy's got a rangefinder. You don't grab him and say, "What the hell are you doing with that?" Hey, come here. I mean, the Secret Service used to be known for being too nasty and too tough. I mean, they grab you and push up against a wall. I mean, I know because I had to prosecute one for beating the living daylights out of a guy, and he denied it. And then the guy had a tape, right? This guy it was a detail for Al Gore, and some lawyer, when he was running for president, the primary. No, he was running for president. Yeah, when he was running for president, because I was U.S. attorney, and this guy did something. I don't know if he did something nasty or whatever he did, but the agent got out of the car and beat the crap out of him. Well, a guy comes in and reports it to one of my assistants, and the agents come in, including the super, and they deny it. And then all of a sudden, the guy shows up. And the agent, I think, testified in the grand jury that he didn't do it. And the guy shows up with a tape. And the guy was kicking him. The agent was kicking him. And boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 boom. So the agent got prosecuted for perjury, among other things. And look, I didn't want to prosecute the agent. I did, I love cops and I prosecuted 70 cops. I prosecuted 70 cops. It broke my heart to do it. I prosecuted an equal number of Republicans and Democrats.
We need more.
I didn't think I was exceptional then. I was.
Sure.
I mean, oh, see my. Ta-da, da,
Oh.
ta-da. We got this yesterday.
Oh,
We got this yesterday at Bedminster.
Trump 2024.
Got it yesterday at Bedminster. I promised the guy who gave it to me I'd wear it.
So Rudolph,
I hope he's looking.
I'm still going to see.
I don't know if he wants me to identify him. He'll call me and let me know. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, but can I just show this?
All right.
Very proud. Yeah, okay. Yes, doctor.
I was pleased about one thing. I felt that the Democrats were
First half.
upset. Republicans,
Yeah.
remember,
The squad people.
it's been
The
about,
one who was bald. The woman who's bald.
and it's been disgusting. Just because somebody has a D on their name, they would be against police and they would all tear the witness apart.
They look great.
But it was very nice to see that they all, except towards the
Oh,
end.
no. At the end, it became Duncan. No. It was about 8 or 9 of them at the end. Oh, no, they all.
To see all of them. I started seeing the bald lady who's like a
Raskin the Rat. Raskin the Rat. Raskin the Rat did a whole big, whole big. No, he's from California. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I just think if I don't know, is it Kamala or Kamala? Or Marble.
Correct. Greg Kelly.
Oh, yeah, and he was indignant. Halpern was indignant.
Harris.
Hey.
And Halpern said.
Vice President Harris. Jesus, what's the upper?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it actually. I say Kamala, but I could.
I know, but he corrected her. He said, and I can't remember which it was now, Kamala or Kamala?
Yeah.
Ted?
Comma.
Comma?
That you're supposed to start with comma.
Kamala?
Kamala.
Like Pamela.
I have no idea.
Like Pamela.
I have a
Pamela like Pamela.
Kamala. That's how I
You got it?
don't know if that's accurate. That's how I was told. I'm not a racist, so I'm going to go with it. Kamala.
To pronounce Kamala or Kamala is not racist.
Well, didn't you hear?
It's just you don't know.
You are to know how to say her name.
Is there some kind of approved black pronunciation of?
I was told I was.
Give me the dictionary.
No, well, Tucker used to say Kamala.
And that was wrong?
Kamala. And that was wrong. And at the time, these left-wing rags, right, called him racist.
I don't
They call them racist for getting it wrong.
I honestly don't.
Very rarely, but sometimes people call me Mariah instead of Maria.
You can't imagine what
Which, by the way, that's interesting.
Bono, Biden, when he defeated, couldn't pronounce my name. Guccini.
Okay, if someone came up to you and called you Mariah,
A friend, the Russian pawn, Guccini.
When they spell things.
I don't think Biden. I don't think he likes Italian.
so I'd have something to say to that person, but I certainly wouldn't call them racist, right?
Well, he must be anti-Italian if he can't.
Kamala.
Giuliani.
Said that it's interesting that the Republicans are attacking women and blacks and DEI and all this other stuff.
Who are the
Not
blacks?
one, no one attacked a black.
Yeah, none of you agent.
To say if a woman is, number one, we're weaker than men, but I'm not saying you couldn't be a good agent. But the height difference mattered when you're shielding somebody tall.
Well, how about if you can't holster a gun?
About racism about it. There's nothing anti-woman about it. And it didn't help to have a woman yelling, "What do we do? What do we do?" And is it the same one that couldn't holster her gun?
No, I think it was a different one. I think so. I'm not absolutely sure. There were two of them that were like chickens without a head. My mother would say they were running around like chickens without a head. You've heard that expression before?
No.
Can we play a few more?
All right, we're uploading them.
Vice President Harris.
We're gonna close on a 4-minute clip I have.
Vice President Harris.
I have a 4.
I don't want to close yet.
No, not now, but I'm saying I have a 4-minute clip.
Five or 10 more minutes of,
Young man crooks there, Matthew Crooks.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, other than they're withholding the foreign countries that he had encrypted contacts with. And what's he doing? What's he doing having contacts with foreign countries? How is that not? How does that not at least raise a conspiracy hypothesis? What I mean by a hypothesis, I mean a theory worthy of investigation, not necessarily. I mean the only way you're going to remove the conspiracy theories is by getting a full and complete investigation. You leave a hole in the investigation, you're going to have conspiracy theories out of this world, like you do with the Kennedy assassination, because they never did an honest investigation of it. It was covered up by Lyndon Johnson, the guy with the biggest motive. The guy who had the biggest motive for John F. Kennedy to die that we know of. I mean, there may have been other people that had big motives, never. I mean, they say the mafia, they say Russia, they say Cuba, da-da-da-da-da. But the guy who benefited the most from the death of John Kennedy is the guy who never would have been president. The last guy that had to resign. Isn't it interesting? The two biggest crooks in my lifetime in the White House have had to not run for re-election. Isn't that amazing?
You know, on my show earlier, Rudy,
Two biggest crooks. Biden is bigger. Good.
I'm very protective about New Hampshire rights, even when I don't agree with them. And I was saying how when I was growing up in New Hampshire, you didn't know a Dem from a Republican. We all had the same values. I guess the biggest thing was we felt Democrats wanted a big government, Republicans wanted a little federal government. And there was no radicalism, nothing. Everybody was happy. You had strong work values, that's for sure. We are hardworking people. Up in the North Country, you could be 70 years old with 3 jobs. You know, you're going to work hard. But I got mad today because Senator Maggie Hassan, this whole thing with Biden's mental health has been a cover-up.
Was she a liar too? Was she a mental health cover-upper?
So after the debate,
Another traitor.
everybody was so shocked. This is the first I'm seeing it. Bullshit, we all saw it in 2019 and it just got progressively worse. The media covered it up. The Bidens covered it up. The people around Robert Klein.
Vice President Harris, Kamala covered it up big time. No way.
She went on what show
For
was
traitor.
that? The debate saying, "Oh, he's vigorous and he's so good."
Well, you know, actually, she might not know the difference.
But my Maggie Hassan, a senator from New Hampshire, was caught by a reporter and she said, "I'm staying with Joe." Maggie,
Go.
you know he was incompetent.
Get out.
Maybe you don't believe he was a crook. I don't know why you don't believe that. There's so much evidence. But you know his mental health and you were lying to the American people. You should never get your seat again. And I'm going to work hard so somebody else who's honest and has integrity gets into that seat.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad set of qualifications for a public servant. Honest and qualified. And boy, is it missing with Harris, Kamala.
Joe Reed
is a complete liar and one hell of an awful district attorney. Helped to create the crime conditions in San Francisco. You want America to be like San Francisco. And she's running, she can do a better job on abortion. She can do a better job of selling the killing of babies. That's her qualification. She can be a good saleswoman for the killing of more babies. I mean, these people want to kill babies at 7, 8, and 9 months in the womb. So don't give me this woman's reproductive health. This is the death of human beings in New York. In the Black community, more babies were aborted last year. I don't know about this year. Last year, than born. We could do something about that. We could do something about saving their lives. Nobody does anything but the ones that get killed. I mean, the stupid moron in Chicago thinks Nixon was responsible for the 100 people shot and the 19 people killed in 60-year Democrat Chicago over the 4th of July. The mayor thinks that Nixon was responsible. He almost said it like he believes it, kind of like Kamala, with Russia is a big country and China is a small country.
That's when I'm like, holy macaroni.
Shall we play her favorite slogan, Ted?
We're working on that now. It's a 4-minute clip.
Oh gosh, it's all over the place. I don't want a 4-minute clip. I don't want a 4-minute clip. I want 1 or 2 examples of it.
Okay, I'll get a short version of it.
If Saturday Night Live could have had a field day with Biden,
No.
at least make us laugh, right?
I'm-
We're the worst president of our lifetimes. At least make us laugh. They protected Biden. Kamala, holy macaroni, she doesn't make any sense. And God forbid, and this is, I think maybe.
No, I don't know. We got to be careful about that.
I know, but she's so.
I think it's. I
nice.
know, doctor, you would not agree with me, and you are a doctor. I think there's something wrong with her brain. I don't think you do that kind of word salad stuff if you have a functioning brain.
Oh, no.
I have a blue suit on. I have a black shirt on. See, black shirt on. I got a black shirt on.
And it says Trump.
I got a black shirt on. She had a mask on too. I have a black shirt on. I'm the vice president. You got it. Save us, please. Please. Save us. Oh my God, I see her.
J.D. Vance on America's Mayor Live. I want to get to know him better.
He was pretty impressive.
I really
Wife too.
don't know anything about him.
Yeah, but he was pretty impressive at the convention, I think.
Now I know he was a Marine, humble beginning.
Lost one. Sure.
He was top of his class or pretty near top of his class.
He's religious. That drives him crazy. Number 2.
Yeah.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
It drives the atheistic communist crazy that he's like, he actually believes it. What a dope, they would say. Oh, it's a real dope. Because we're like Satan. We're like Karl Marx. You know why Karl Marx didn't believe in God? Because he was God. He believed he was God.
Hmm.
He ate the apple from the tree of knowledge. That was the downfall of Adam and Eve. They were going to be smarter than God.
So who do you guys think Kamala is going to choose as her running mate?
Let you go because
They're saying she's going to, today's big rumor was Shapiro, who was all over the place giving some kind of stupid speech. Now, there's a guy who helped to steal the 2020 election. I mean, that guy's great. I mean, he could help us steal the election. He knows how to do it. I mean, Pennsylvania, where Trump was ahead by 800,000 votes until.
praise Kamala Biden today. All of a sudden, Pennsylvania's got a lot of money.
Well, I mean, he's the guy and his attorney. He was the attorney general when they changed all the laws for COVID, and they applied it differently in Biden counties than in Trump counties. And I mean, they fixed the election. Come on. It's Democrat crooked Philadelphia and Pittsburgh that where the election was fixed. I mean, we've got 700,000 votes in Philadelphia that were never inspected. Never inspected.
Here's Kamala's favorite line. We'll just play a little clip.
Oh, I bet I know.
But I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what.
I want to point out to our audience about this because a lot of people will not point this out. That's pure Marxism. That comes from Karl Marx. I don't know who came up with the specific line, but it's the absence of history. Get rid of history. Unburdened by the past, meaning you forget your history, which assumes that all our history was evil and bad. Oh, that kind of leaves out the American Revolution. It kind of leaves out the 300,000 to 400,000 white men who died to free black slaves, the Civil War. Yeah. It leaves out liberating Europe twice. Once from the scourge of Nazism, or liberating Eastern Europe from atheistic communism. It leaves out all those people who gave their lives at Normandy, who at 20 years old ended a life so they could save Europe. It leaves out all the wonderful inventions that Americans have made, you know, curing polio, you know, before a lot of the scientific became corrupt and tried to kill us with COVID. It leaves all that out when you say unburdened by the past. The past in America was largely glorious with failures. It's the reason, idiot, and that's what she is, that all these people want to come here. But what a stupid statement. Now, she's either stupid, brain injured, or a communist. I don't know if she knows that comes from Karl Marx. I don't know if she's smart enough to know. Well, Obama was trained. No. Obama was trained as a communist. He was trained as a communist. And he was trained by a terrorist, by a cop killer. By the way, 48 cop killers are now been let out in the last several years since Andrew Cuomo and the Democrat corrupt New York changed the parole laws. 48 cop killers are walking the streets. And they're pretty soon going to let out some of the cop killers when I was mayor. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go nuts. They all should have been executed. They all should have been executed. We actually reinstated the death penalty. And when they were put in jail for life, it was, oh, well, they'll be put in jail for life. That's worse.
You know, we have very limited death penalty here.
Well, that's why we need the death penalty, because they let the cop killers out. 48 cop killers have been let out. And when you see that guy's face, Andrew, who is alleged to have killed all the old people, but he sure as hell shouldn't be elected anything ever for letting out 48 cop killers. It's his change in the law that has created that. It's his change in the law that created the bail problem in New York that got 7,000 to 10,000 people walking the streets that'd be in jail if I were the mayor.
How about that underground lady, Rosenberg, or maybe I got the wrong name, and she became
I'm in a spot.
the CFO for Black Lives Matter. You know, she put a bomb in the Capitol.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, they all went to work. Yeah, they all went to work for Black Lives Matter. Yeah. They all went to. I mean, what's her name's father? Fanny the Hoe. He was a Black Panther. Yeah, he was a Black Panther. And she's walking away from taking money from her campaign account. Georgia, it doesn't count because it's so damn corrupt in Atlanta under a Republican. Now, I'm fair, under a Republican governor who's, just as bad as the Democrats. And the Secretary of State, Raffensperger, who the governor had to remove from the election commission because, in the words of the lieutenant governor, he hasn't presided over a good election since he's been on the commission. That includes the 2020 election that they're trying to put me in jail for. In Georgia. And Arizona, by the way.
Gateway pundit, and I have to look back. We were working so hard at the convention, but they had one day a press release, I think,
Georgia?
In Gateway with explosive information.
We got to go over it. We will. We're so busy. I can't do things to help myself. It's really amazing. No. I mean, but that's what they want to do. You see, they want to get me distracted. That's what they did to my friend Bannon. You think they put him in jail for no reason? They put him in jail because he's got a big mouth like me, and he's got a lot of followers. There's nobody that understands the Trump electorate as well as Steve Bannon. Nobody, including my good friend, President Trump. He understands it, but not as well as Bannon does.
I had the pleasure of interviewing Maureen Bannon, his daughter.
Oh, yeah, I got to get her on. I got to get her on.
Yeah.
I got to get her and ask about her dad. And, we tried to go visit him and we're having a hard time. Yeah, we're ready.
Oh, Theodore is ready.
Oh, yeah, you guys know, we played a couple.
Oh, but he's going to put it on toward the end. But I do want to comment on it when it's over. We'll play. Okay, well, we'll play the whole thing. I'll come in on it before, and we'll say goodnight, and then you can watch it because this is really, really.
We can put the whole thing if you want.
But no. But anybody who repeats this as much as she does, there's something. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with her brain.
It's crazy.
There's something wrong with her brain. Now we could play, and we will over a period of time if she's the candidate. We could play 50 word salads that prove that the synapses in her brain don't work.
Yeah.
Did you guys play?
Like I did with Nitwit, who just
Yeah.
Really tall tonight.
yeah, I know that.
Got a back.
You're on a lower chair, and I'm on a higher chair, and we're roughly at the same level. She's a very tall lady.
Did you play the one where she's in Poland? Now,
Pretty tough.
she's not an experienced traveler. She admitted she's never been in Europe before.
She's
And
a
so no. She said,
Look at the president has never been in Europe. Oh. Did she know she was in? Did she know she was in Europe? Oh.
time, and they said something about her not going to the border, and she's the border czar. She goes, so I've never been to Europe. So she's kind of doesn't know the culture of different countries, and she probably doesn't read a lot.
She doesn't know the culture of America.
And she's with the Poland prime minister, and a reporter asks a question. She starts her giggle. She didn't know the answer, and she looks to him. It's not like we're from the same country. You're my colleague, and I kind of like help bail me out. She looks to him, and said something like, "Oh, I gotta dial a friend, or a friend in need is a friend in need," and then laugh for 5 minutes. Like, I don't.
So tell me, doctor, what's wrong with her? And don't give me that. Don't do that other thing.
I'm not going to talk about her being drunk.
Okay.
I'm going to be talking about.
I don't know that she
her.
was drunk. You're saying she when she acts like that. Look, I was a bartender. It was the only job I was fired. Well, the second job. First job I was fired for. Second one was ABC because I refused to listen to their policy of not talking about the 2020 election. Remember,
Well,
WABC radio.
Told you about it.
What?
They never told.
No,
you
they never told me.
about it.
But then they instituted the policy because John Cassidy got scared of something. And I was told if I wanted to go back on, I had to promise not to talk about the 2020 election. You know what I told him. I told him to take it and shove it up there. You know what? Because the 2020 election, we have to be free to talk about it if we don't want 2024 to repeat it. Plus, we have to get justice. If people fix that election, they should be prosecuted for it.
Yeah.
Fixing an election is one of the most serious things you can do to a democracy. And it was just at a time that we found out that there were, it was just at the time that we found out that there were 300.
Oh.
It was just at the time that we found out that 375,000 ballots.
I can't speak anymore.
Well, why don't we stop interrupting, please, so I can speak? Thank you. Ted's getting a little crazy. So 375,000 ballots in Georgia have disappeared.
Recently, right?
Yeah, and
They wait till.
I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about that on the air, but I couldn't comment on the 2020 election on WABC. So when you listen to WABC, please understand you will hear nothing about the 2020 election by order of the censorship bureau of WABC, and that's outrageous. It's outrageous. You just don't get to do that if you're a legitimate, honest journalist. I'm sorry. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why he's doing it, but I do know it's wrong. And I'm just not anybody's. I just refuse to be somebody's patsy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And none of them even, hardly any of them talk to me now. But they're all going along with it. Really outrageous. So the point is, I don't know what's wrong with Kamala Harris, but I knew there's something wrong with her. You're asking me as a bartender, I'm going to listen to her more carefully. I spent a while being a bartender until my father fired me because I was impatient with drunks. And I'm going to watch her when she does this. We have a lot. I mean, the other night I was just looking at so many of them. Seems to me there must be at least 50 of a word. What do they call them? Word salads, right?
Yeah.
You think they're about 50?
Oh man, yeah, I'd say about
Yeah.
Get rid
What we're gonna do?
not all of them.
What we're gonna do is play for you a constantly repeated Marxist anthem, which is what this is. Remember, Karl Marx said, "You want to take over a people, you want to subjugate them, you got to get rid of their history. You got to get them to hate their country, and then wipe out their history." That's what the Cultural Revolution, that's what Mao was doing during the Cultural Revolution. You got to educate yourself on this, because this is what Biden and Obama are about, and Kamala Harris. I don't know if she knows she's about it. I don't know. She may or she may not. She looks to me when she's saying this like she's some kind of simpleton. I mean, to constantly repeat.
And be unburdened.
Sorry.
I was going to say good night. And I was going to say, as I usually do, because the Houthis are now going wild on Biden because he does nothing about it. He's getting Israelis killed. He's got our soldiers in jeopardy. I mean, the guy is completely useless. By the way, if he's not good enough for the Democratic Party, he's not good enough for you and me as president of the United States. Out.
Oh,
Out. And admit that you've been lying for the last 4 years.
they
No,
still
unless-
haven't given over the audio tape from the Her report. Aren't they in contempt?
And every single person who knew about him being like that should be disqualified by the Democratic Party for running if they were an American political party. If they really owe their allegiance to China or Russia or the people who paid Biden money, then maybe they're all like Biden. If they nominate Kamala, they're telling you that they're basically a cover-up party. Because she's a major part of the cover-up. And she's also, as you will see, some kind of nitwit. So,
Well,
thank you, Doctor. Remember, Frank's speech tomorrow at 3.
Then you're at
That's-
7.
Then I'm back on Frank's speech at 7.
Then you're
Then I'm
Thursday.
here at 8. And who knows what we're going to have for you tomorrow? Who knows what they're going to say? Or what creep is going to come out of the, who expected Cheeto to be?
So Cheeto's going back tomorrow, right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No,
For some reason, I thought it was more than one day.
I think that the Republicans are going to try to come up with some strategy to fire her.
Yeah, they
Also, one
How
of the
could they, though?
congresswomen, I've forgotten which one, referred her for criminal prosecution.
yes, a
I mean,
young
nothing,
one. She was very
nothing,
young.
nothing will happen. I think was it Anna Paulina?
That's right.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
It was
from Florida. From Florida.
Maybe you should get her on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll text her. I've known her for
don't-
quite some time, actually. Yeah.
So let's pray for the people of Israel who are getting shellacked by the Houthis now, and America's not doing it. They're doing something. They're hitting back, but we're not. We just get killed. We don't. On the Democrats, we attack empty fields. That's what Clinton used to do. That's what I knew Gore would do if he had gotten elected, which is why I said, thank God he's not president right in the middle of September 11th. And thank God we had Bush for that. And that's what Biden and Obama's red lines. And you know, a couple 100,000 people in Ukraine would be alive if they hadn't cheated and gotten him elected. And you can pick your cheating. You can pick it. The hard drive, which includes all our newspapers, except for the Post, or the election. You pick it. Or covering up his. Let's say it together. God bless America. God bless America.
But I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What 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 can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been. Where we can be unburdened by where we have been and unburdened by where we are right now. What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What could be unburdened by what had been? What can be unburdened by what has 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 been? Unburdened by what has been, believing in what can be. What can be unburdened by what has been? 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 What could be unburdened by what had been? What can be unburdened by what has 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 been? What can be, what should be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? See what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? Unburdened by what has been and knowing what can be. Have a sense of vision about what can be unburdened by what has been. To see what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What could be unburdened by what had been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? Where we can be unburdened by where we have been. What was possible unburdened by what has been? What can be 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 unburdened by what has been? That can be unburdened by what has been. There are those who are unable to see what can be, but there are many more who are able to see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. we are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.